Broken Idyll. The enclave was a fragile dream, a bubble of light and warmth in a world of shadows. Inside, Lena and Yarek lived between memories they did not own and illusions they chose to keep. The currency here wasn't money or power, but moments, snippets of stolen pasts traded and woven into personal tapestries of escape. Lena watched the faded holoscreen flicker. The image was a fragment from another life, a sunlit field, children running barefoot, laughter suspended in a timeless loop. She reached out, fingers brushing the cold glass, yearning for a past that wasn't hers. Another dream bought? Yarek's voice was low, cautious. She didn't answer. The enclave's streets were narrow and winding, lined with stalls selling fragments of stolen memories, smells, sounds, faces. People wore borrowed histories like masks, hiding from the harsh present. Lena's own memories were patchy, a collage of borrowed moments and hazy truths. She had once believed in the stories told by the data churches, sacred codes and righteous narratives. But years of scavenging had eroded her faith. The truth was tangled in shadows and lies. "Why do you chase these illusions?" Yarek asked again, stepping closer. Lena met his eyes, a flicker of defiance. "Because the truth is unbearable." The enclave's neon glow hummed softly, the scent of burnt circuits mingling with stale hope. Above, the sky was a dull, colorless smear, perpetual twilight in a world broken by the Great Shutdown. They moved through the crowds, faces blurred and shifting like smoke. Each person carried a story, but few knew who they really were beneath the layers of contraband memories. At the edge of the market, Lena paused. A small booth displayed a cracked memory shard, a childhood birthday party, laughter frozen in time. She hesitated, then slipped a worn credit chip across the counter. The vendor's eyes gleamed with practiced greed. "Another piece of your borrowed past." Lena nodded, pocketing the shard carefully. This fragment was a risk, too real, too raw. But she needed to remember, even if the memories belonged to someone else. Back in their cramped apartment, Lena inserted the shard into an old player. The room filled with light and sound, an echo of a life she never lived. The laughter, the warmth, the simple joy. It was intoxicating and cruel. Yarek watched, expression unreadable. "We're living lies," he said softly. "Maybe," Lena whispered, "but these lies keep the darkness at bay." The enclave was a fragile haven, but outside its walls the city decayed. The ruins whispered secrets, forgotten truths that threatened to shatter their fragile idol. Lena closed her eyes, caught between the stolen warmth of borrowed memories and the cold, relentless present. The past was a fragile thing, and in this world it was never truly yours. The enclave's night deepened, thick with the scent of ozone and rust. Neon signs sputtered, casting fractured light over cracked pavements where shadows moved like ghosts. Lena and Yorick navigated the labyrinthine alleys, their steps muffled by layers of dust and whispered secrets. Lena clutched the memory shard tightly in her palm, its surface cool and deceptively inert. Each fragment was a stolen breath of someone else's life, a fragile echo of a world before the Great Shutdown shattered existence. She had learned to measure risk in moments like this. "Are you sure about this?" Jarek's voice was low, tense. She didn't answer immediately. Her gaze lingered on a flickering hollow advertisement overhead, a distorted image of a smiling family, perfect and unreachable. The lie was polished, but Lena knew the cracks beneath the surface. "I need to know," she finally said, "even if it's a lie." The Enclave was a sanctuary for the lost, a refuge where memories were currency and identity was fluid. But beneath its shimmering facade lurked a darker truth. The more Lena delved into borrowed pasts, the more she sensed the fragile threads holding their world together were fraying. They entered a cramped workshop hidden behind a shuttered storefront. Inside, old tech hummed, wires twisted like veins, and discarded memory players lay stacked like forgotten relics. Here, technicians salvaged and repaired stolen memories, patching fragments together to create whole stories, fragile as glass. A grizzled man named Voss greeted them with a nod. His eyes, sharp despite age, scanned Lena's shard. "This one's recent," he murmured, "raw and unstable. Could fry your mind if you're not careful." Lena nodded, placing the shard gently on the workbench. Voss worked quickly, fingers skilled in coaxing the memories to life. The room pulsed with the faint glow of hollow projections, images flickering like dying stars. As the memory began to stabilize, Lena felt a chill crawl up her spine. The shard's owner was someone real, a child from the old world, their laughter and fear preserved in painful clarity. "Why sell something so precious?" Jarek asked, breaking the silence. Voss shrugged. "In this world, memories are survival. People will trade anything to forget or to remember." Lena watched the images flicker. A family torn apart, promises broken, innocence lost. She swallowed hard, the weight of stolen pasts pressing down. "Who was this?" she whispered. Voss shook his head. "No name, just a fragment in the sea of forgotten souls." The room darkened as the projection faded. Lena sat back, haunted by the rawness of a life she'd never lived, but now carried within her. Outside, the Enclave thrummed with uneasy energy. Rumors whispered of raids, of data cultists seeking to control the memories that defined their fragile world. Lena looked at Jarek, searching for answers in his steady gaze. "We're running out of time," he said quietly. "The past won't stay buried forever." She nodded, resolve hardening. In a world built on borrowed memories, truth was the most dangerous currency of all. The Enclave's morning arrived not with warmth, but with the sharp chill of uncertainty. Lena woke to the distant hum of patrol drones circling the perimeter, a grim reminder that safety here was temporary, fragile as the memories she clung to. The stolen shard lay on the table, its glow faint but persistent. Jarek was already awake, staring at the cracked window where the city's skeletal skyline loomed. His face was drawn tight with worry. The Enclave was a sanctuary, but one built on borrowed time. "We can't keep running," Lena said, voice low. Jarek didn't reply immediately. He pulled a worn datapad from beneath his coat, fingers scrolling through encrypted messages. The data was fragmented, but the warning clear. Corporate enforcers were closing in, targeting anyone linked to unauthorized memory trade. "They want control over the past," Jarek said. "If they get it, they control everything." Lena traced the lines of light flickering on the datapad. The shards weren't just memories. They were power. Control over identity, history, even reality itself. She thought back to the child in the memory shard. Innocence trapped in digital amber. What did it mean for someone's past to be owned, traded, or erased? The answer was as fractured as the world they lived in. "We have to protect the Enclave," Lena said, "or it all falls apart." Jarek nodded, eyes hardening. "There's a network, underground. They've been fighting the corporations quietly, collecting fragments like us, but with a purpose." Lena's breath caught. "Can we trust them?" "Trust is a luxury," Jarek replied. "But it's our best chance." The day passed in a tense blur. Whispers of movement, glances over shoulders, preparations for what might come. Lena moved through the Enclave's winding alleys, absorbing the familiar sights, tinged now with shadow. At a forgotten junction, she met Mara, a messenger from the underground network. Mara's eyes held the same weariness Lena recognized in herself. "They're coming," Mara said bluntly. "You need to leave or fight." Lena's heart thundered. The choice was stark: cling to the fragile comfort of borrowed memories, or face the ruthless truth head-on. She looked at Jarek, then back at the Enclave they'd called home. The illusions were crumbling. The truth was breaking through the cracks. And somewhere beneath the surface, a storm was gathering. The Enclave was no longer a refuge. It was a powder keg, ready to ignite with the slightest spark. Shadows stretched long and deep, swallowing alleys and corners where whispered secrets had once found shelter. Lena and Jarek moved with cautious purpose, their minds racing ahead, knowing the inevitability of the coming storm. The underground network, a ghostly web of silent signals and encrypted messages, moved swiftly beneath the surface. Trust was a scarce commodity here, traded in hushed tones and fleeting glances, yet necessity forced fragile alliances to form. Inside a dimly lit safe house, hidden beneath layers of crumbling concrete and rusted steel, Lena carefully spread out the fragments of stolen memories. Data shards, hollow recordings, and fragile patches of old lives lay scattered across the worn metal table. Each fragment was a fragile mosaic of a past that might have been lost forever, but still held the potential to be reclaimed. The weight of countless forgotten souls pressed down on the space, thick as the stale air that hung heavy between them. "We need to broadcast this," Lena said, her voice steady despite the tension that gripped her chest. "People have the right to see the truth behind the memories they buy, the lies they live." Jarek's brow furrowed, doubt sharpening his gaze. "Broadcasting means exposure. The corporations won't hesitate to come down hard. They'll hunt us like animals." "Maybe that's the point," Lena replied, eyes hardening with resolve. "Fear is the leash they've used to keep everyone compliant for years. Truth could set them free, or it could break them." They worked tirelessly through the night, assembling a makeshift transmitter from scavenged parts, wires twisted and soldered with trembling hands. The signal was weak, but it was enough to pierce through the enclave's crumbling walls and reach beyond the reaches of their fragile sanctuary. Outside, the city sprawled like a dying beast, a patchwork of decay and flickering neon, with skeletal skyscrapers clawing at the perpetually gray sky. Drones patrolled the air, their cold lenses sweeping over streets where shadows moved with deliberate purpose. The corporations' reach was long, their grip merciless, suffocating any spark of rebellion before it could ignite. As Lena activated the transmitter, a low, steady hum filled the cramped room. Hollow screens flickered to life, casting a ghostly glow over their faces. Images began to dance, faces and places, moments stolen and sold as currency in this fractured world. The stolen memories, once hidden treasures, were now weapons of revelation. Suddenly, the safe house door exploded inward with a violent crash. Mercenaries flooded the room, their weapons raised, eyes cold and unyielding. Chaos erupted, shouts, the clatter of falling equipment, the sharp reports of warning shots. Lena acted without hesitation. She grabbed the transmitter, smashing it against the rough concrete floor to prevent its capture. Jarek moved like a tempest, fighting fiercely to buy her precious seconds. The air was thick with the scent of burning circuits and sweat. With heart pounding and breath ragged, Lena slipped through a hidden exit she had memorized long ago. The night swallowed her whole, dark and indifferent. Behind her, the echoes of conflict faded into the distance. The truth was out, but so was the danger. The fragile veil that had once shielded the enclave was torn, exposing them to the cold, merciless world beyond. In the distance, the enclave's neon glow flickered, an ember fighting against the encroaching darkness, its light wavering, but not yet extinguished. Lena ran through the maze of ruined streets, the weight of stolen pasts heavy on her shoulders. She knew the fight was just beginning. The truth was no longer a secret buried beneath layers of deceit. It was a spark, a wildfire threatening to consume the broken Idyll and everything built upon it. And in that wildfire, she would either be consumed or reborn. Lena's breath came sharp and ragged as she slipped through the labyrinthine maze of the Enclave's ruined streets. Each shadow stretched like a creeping menace. Every distant sound reverberated with the weight of an imminent collapse. The fragile illusion of safety, once carefully crafted, had shattered alongside the transmitter she had destroyed. The truth they had unleashed now roared like a wildfire, uncontrollable, voracious, devouring all remnants of denial. She darted behind crumbling walls, the faint glow of flickering neon signs casting fractured, trembling light over the slick, rain-soaked pavement. Her mind raced, desperately piecing together the fragmented, stolen memories that had become her only anchor in this shifting sea of lies and broken identities. Each memory was a ghost, a whispered echo of a past that wasn't hers but had insidiously woven itself into the fabric of her being. Jarek's sacrifice had bought her precious time, but she knew the mercenaries would not relent until the Enclave was crushed beneath their iron boots and the underground network silenced forever. The corporations wielded power beyond mere weapons. They controlled identity itself. Owning the past meant owning the future, and they held the reins with ruthless grip. Lena's fingers trembled as she brushed a small memory shard tucked deep within her coat pocket. The fragile laughter of a child. The broken fragments of a fractured family. The weight of that fragile joy and unbearable loss pressed down on her soul. Memories, she realized, with bitter clarity, were the last battlefield. The city around her pulsed with decay and artificial neon, a living relic of the Great Shutdown. The skeletal skyscrapers loomed like hollow monuments to a forgotten era, their windows dark and empty, like blind eyes staring into the void. The digital ghosts of the lost world flickered faintly on cracked hollow screens scattered throughout the ruins, unreachable yet ever present, haunting the past with echoes of a broken past. A sudden noise shattered the silence. Footsteps, soft but deliberate, coming from behind. Lena froze, heart hammering in her chest. She spun swiftly, eyes locking onto a figure stepping from the shadows. Mara. "We're not done yet," Mara said, her voice low but fierce, the steel of determination cutting through the darkness. The network's still alive, the fight's just beginning. Lena nodded, feeling a fire ignite deep within her chest. The stolen memories, the lies, the shattered Enclave. They were pieces of a fractured puzzle that might one day be pieced whole again. But only if they dared to reclaim it, to face the darkness rather than hide from it. Together, they moved through the desolate streets, the first pale light of dawn creeping over the horizon. The broken city awoke slowly, its breath ragged, its heart faltering, but still beating. Lena looked out where the faint glow of the Enclave met the endless darkness beyond. The ember flickered, fragile, but defiant against the coming storm. As they walked, Lena's thoughts spiraled to the future, uncertain, unwritten, but hers to shape. The fight for truth had only just begun, and with it the chance to reclaim not only lost memories, but the very essence of humanity itself. She stepped forward into the uncertain day, carrying with her the weight of forgotten pasts and the fragile hope of a future rewritten. The path ahead was shrouded in shadow, but for the first time in a long while, Lena felt the faint stirrings of something powerful, hope born from the ashes of broken lies. The city whispered around them, a quiet witness to their defiance. And somewhere, beneath layers of decay and neon, a spark flickered, waiting to ignite the revolution.